Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here and thank you so much for doing this. Now, when did we start working? About 6 months ago? Yes, it's
Yeah,
been a
yeah,
while.
it has. It's been a while. It's been a while, and that's why it's so nice to see you, to see what's happened since the
Yes.
last time.
Yeah, because I feel like so many insights which we have like during the program, like there's so much happening. It takes a while sometime to for those insights to turn into like an experiential wisdom for you to go, ah, that makes sense, or yes, it's landing now. So I'm so happy that we are here doing this after 6 months. So let's start with if you want to tell me, I don't know if you even remember because that was about a year ago, but where were you when we started so that we can get a little bit of idea of kind of what you were going through prior to our work together?
I 100% remember, because I remember that every single area of my life just felt like it had fallen down, like every area. You look at, you know, all the roles that you play, everything. And I remember just feeling totally lost, being very unsatisfied with counselors and psychologists. And I'm just like, they weren't hitting the mark. And I just
Mm,
remember thinking, I just need to find myself and get
mhm,
every area of my life back up. So yeah, I
mhm,
100% remember that I didn't know who I
mm,
was back then. Or I just felt like the person I was then, it wasn't who I know. It's like it wasn't my true self. I felt like I completely lost who I was, and I was so far away from who I wanted to be, if that makes
mhm.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And during the program, after the program, how you felt? Like now it's been not just 6 months after the program, but 6 months after that. So now it's been almost a year. But yeah, tell me a little bit around how you felt during the program and afterwards as well.
Yeah, during the program, I think the accountability was something that I really needed. Like I needed you to give me a little bit of structure, and I needed
Mm-hmm,
the accountability to kind of get things done. And I had to be really vulnerable with that and be like, look, I wasn't, for example, meditating as much as what we spoke
mm-hmm,
about, or, like it was good to have that throughout the program. But then I think when it finished, what I liked was it was like being let off the leash and being like, okay, you've spoken about stuff, you've implemented things, and I guess I kind of found it interesting because I haven't kept every single thing we've talked about, just
yep,
because I
yep,
feel like it's a bit, it's kind of hard to do everything and
yep.
life happens. But I've kind of found it interesting what I have kept in my practice, the things that really really serve me. And then I think probably the biggest thing that's changed for me is like you're in my head. I'm like, me would say this, and I cling to things, or this is how
Mm,
this is how she'd explain it. Or I
mhm,
find that when things in my life do start to go back down, I would think back to a conversation. And I remember it
mm,
was 2 weeks ago, I had a really bad night, and everything was going this way, and I said to myself, go take a shower and wash off the day. That's what you'd say,
mhm,
wash the day off. And
mhm,
I did, and I came back to a conversation, a completely new person, and it went
mhm,
in a completely different direction. Whereas in
mhm,
the past, I would have fell, into my old habits, my old
mm.
ways of reacting. And I was like, I'm so proud of myself. But I
That's
really,
awesome.
it's all because of what we've done. And I was just really
Mhm,
proud that, I consciously was making those changes and those choices based on our work. And it kind of felt like it was proof to me just how successful it was. And, there is that period of settling in,
mhm,
um, when I finished with you, but I was like, the work didn't end. It actually keeps on evolving, I think.
mhm,
Mm.
mhm. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just the techniques, like, because you did know about meditation when we started before, right? Like you've also done Vipassana in the past. So it's not that you were not aware of the techniques or the tools or what you need to do. But I think the place it's coming from is like very different. It's like you knowing that this is in full service to you and this is in complete alignment to your values and what you truly believe in. So when you do something as small as you said, just washing off, it's like
Mm.
it works because it's not
Mm-hmm.
just the washing off or just the shower. It's the intention behind it and the mindset behind it. And that's kind of like predominantly the work we do. And hence it keeps on evolving, because it's
Yeah.
not that I just give you a few things and it's like just rigid. It's like, no, you want to massage it into what really aligns with you and really ignites your soul and really is in service to what you are wanting.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was probably like the biggest surprise for me, just like reflecting, going like, wow. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, it's like you're in my head a lot, like it's nice. You crop up and our conversations crop up. It
Mm-hmm.
just because I ended that with you, it didn't mean that all that stopped for 6 months. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome. And what were your biggest like breakthroughs or like your aha moments after you finished, just immediately or now or even during the program? Like, if in the simplest way you want to tell, like, what were the biggest things which kind of stuck with you? Yeah, if you want to speak to that.
I think probably some of the routine stuff. It really changed my life. I think you've given me permission to focus on myself in the morning and get up earlier than my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like drink some water, do some yoga or Pilates
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And that's something that, my husband now does too. So like the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you've done with me, because I, tell him, he's actually taken a lot of that stuff on well as
Mm-hmm.
well, which is quite
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So that I loved that. I think a lot of the discussions, it sounds
Mm-hmm.
weird, but a lot of the ways that you explain stuff, even just that idea of, masculine and feminine
Mm-hmm.
energy, and I don't know, it really, I can stop and I can just see things
Yeah.
clearly a bit more differently, and I just feel like I've got so much more understanding of myself and my actions, but
Mm-hmm.
so much of that guilt and judging is just let go. And probably the thing I'm the most thankful for you was just moving through things versus getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's such a relief. I just feel like my mindset, I feel like a new woman. Like I had a really, really hard, challenging event happen to me last year that for most people it would have it would have been really hard for a lot of people. And I was really you were in my head while I was going through this, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just so conscious. And that for
Mm-hmm.
me, that happened in December. That for me was when I was like, wow, like I felt like
Mm-hmm.
it was the test. I felt like,
Mm,
life throws you something really hard, and I felt like it was the test, and I passed. So that's probably been my proudest moment. Like I'm like, I
mm.
passed. Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's awesome. And I think also what I find is like if you feel empowered and grounded within yourself, then doesn't matter what comes your way, like you got this because your sense of happiness and fulfillment and you know pleasure is not dependent on outside things, and instead like you take ownership for that. And I think you did so well and you showed up so well even during our sessions, because what you were going through and what we were working through, there was a lot coming up, but you showed up to the sessions, you really implemented things. And yeah, we are here. So it was such an honor to just like to even take you through that journey, because you were receptive. This happened, of course. Like I can't, drag you into something, but you took things on board, which is amazing.
Yeah, I
And
think
you
that
said, Mhm.
vulnerability. Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think that vulnerability and that honesty was probably the best thing um,
Mhm.
that you brought out of me as well. And I
Mhm.
think that if you are honest, open, vulnerable, and you just lay it out, I remember you told me, like, you got to lay it all out. I think trusting you with that and trusting you on that journey, like that was very hard. And it was, it's hard for anyone. You have to be very, very
Mhm.
brave. But yeah, you really wholeheartedly deserve all that trust for guiding me through like
Mm.
last year and taking me on that
Yeah,
journey.
thank you so much. And I guess like also knowing you, like I know you are a very high achiever. You own such a successful business. You're a beautiful mom, you're a wife, like you're doing so many things. And I think I find like working with high achieving women, it's like we have a structure around us, which is like a facade, which is very strong. And you kind of need that to like lead a multiple six-figure business and be successful. So exploring your other side, which is that vulnerable side. And it's like, I don't have everything all together, and I am struggling, and it's okay, because that doesn't define you into anything. And that's usually quite a big part for most of high achieving women. I find it's like their ability to let go in a
Yes.
space, because on the other places you can't. It's like you have to kind of keep it all tight. So did that resonate for you? Like, did that part resonate, and like you saw how that helped?
Totally. You mean like the different roles, like the business and
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
just like that
Oh,
in the sessions you were so much more vulnerable, that made you into even a stronger leader, and even more embodied wife or mother, because you were able to really explore the sides which were not, you were 100% at, but you were vulnerable with it, and you gave permission for those sides to be expressed, during our sessions and during our time together.
yeah. And it just even gave me permission to have a stronger, that it's okay to, just because I put time into myself doesn't mean that my business is going to suffer, where I had that scarcity
Mm-hmm.
mindset of like, I should be working, I should be working. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to. And, it's like, yeah, I'm actually going to take an hour and I'm going to read a book, but I should be, working on my business, or just giving
Mm-hmm.
permission to trust myself. What does my body need? What do I want? And I don't have to be doing something. What do I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, what's going to nourish me? And if my cup's full, then that's going to really help all those other areas of my life run smoothly. But I never had that mindset before.
Mm. And what was your most favorite part of the program? Is there one you can think of?
Do you know, it's so strange, but I really just enjoyed, you brought so many new concepts and discussions. I was
Mm.
just, like I said, I've seen some counselors and psychologists, and I just felt like they didn't, it was so, I don't know if it was just too Western or too
Mm.
neatly packaged in one area. And I really loved that you would explain things to me from your experience, from your studies. And it just made so much, it just makes sense. I don't know, it just really made sense to me. And it just
Mhm.
really related to it. And I just felt like the way you would explain what I was going through, um, it was, I don't know, it's so hard to explain. It was just very hard to explain. I do remember one meditation you did for me though, um,
Mm.
was life changing. When we
Mm.
talked about, cutting a cord and just
Pause.
needing to cut something,
Yeah.
that honestly was like a life changing moment for me.
Mm.
Yeah, that was
I
really, and
still
that's what
remember the
I love
spot
to
I did it
do.
in. I was actually in India at that time as
All
well.
right.
I was in India, and I was sitting outside in a beautiful veranda at my friend's place, and I did that intuitively on the spot. And yeah, I could see your face, and your entire energy was different afterwards.
Yeah. And that's, I guess that probably encapsulates what I love, is that
Hmm.
working with you, it was individualized. It wasn't this
Hmm.
like, well, we're going to check off the list. This is what we're going to do. This is what I do with everyone. Whatever direction I took you in, you took my hand and led me. And yeah, I
Hmm.
just never knew where it was going to go, but it was so individualized, and it worked for me. Yeah.
Mm. Thank you so much. And if anyone is considering of joining my program or working with me, do you have anything to say to someone?
Yeah, I think I remember I just booked in with you. Like I did it before Christmas. I did it in December. I remember in my head, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe I should just wait for January. And I was just thinking, no, 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 no. You're going to think of excuses. If this is something you need in your life, if you want to explore these areas, if you want to be vulnerable, be honest, and grow as a person, I just think you've just got to really just make that commitment and take a stand and be like, no, 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 I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let anything talk myself out. And I think just, go with your gut and just go for it. Um, that's my
Yeah, because
advice.
I think
Yeah.
that's a big one. Because I find it in myself also, like, over time, business coaches I have and things like that. Because at some point, like, you committing to something like this is
Mhm.
you committing to yourself at the end of the day. It's like you're committing to a different way of being. So, yes,
Yeah.
there's a money exchange, and yes, there's a time, but you are saying, no, this is important. So by
Yeah.
actually making that first transaction of you saying yes
Mm-hmm.
to something like this, you're creating that space for this thing to happen, which is the different side of
Yeah,
you, which needs to come out and be explored. So that's
definitely.
beautiful. And is there anything else you would like to add? And also, I've been asking this beautiful question for all my previous clients. You know, I predominantly work with women, and I believe, like, for me, at the end of the day, if you feel empowered and you feel complete, then every single area of your life flourishes because it all comes out of you only. You know, and do you feel empowered? And do you feel like that sense of fulfillment and completion and containment within yourself, irrespective of what roles you play? But just Rebecca.
Yeah, I feel like I've evolved. It's kind of like that idea of you know, you've known you've been a caterpillar, or, you know, you've known you've had this cocoon, and I might have been, you know, sitting on my leaf as a butterfly, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like last year, you know, 6 months afterwards, I feel like I flew, like I actually
Mm-hmm.
flew. Yeah, that was just the feeling. And I just was like, I'm such a different person. Not just a different person, but I'm actually back to the person that I loved probably before I had all these roles, you know, like the free
Mm-hmm.
spirited me from
Mm-hmm.
my 20s, like when I was at my
Mm-hmm.
best self, being a backpacker around the world, like when I was feeling the most free, no responsibilities. I kind of feel like I'm back to being that person that I loved. Yeah, my true self. And I feel like it had been just lost and suppressed unknowingly for so many
Mm-hmm.
years. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute honor to work with you. And thank you so much for all of your kind words. I feel so emotional right now, but
Yeah.
thank you so much. I will stop the recording now.
Yeah.
Mm.